Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. In this video, I'm going to share with you a full guide, full step-by-step tutorial on how to use PancakeSwap to yield farm on. Using liquidity pools to yield farm is one of the most profitable ways to make money in crypto. Anyone can take part in it, just connect your wallet, deposit some funds, and just by doing that, you'll earn passive income 24/7. So let's go ahead, let me show you step-by-step how to do it. So step one, connect your wallet. On the upper right corner of the screen, you'll find that button. I'm going to connect Rabby, but you can connect any other wallet. And by the way, PancakeSwap also does support Solana liquidity pools. So if you want to yield farm on Solana with PancakeSwap, you can also do that. I'm just going to log in with my Rabby wallet, click connect, and right now I'm connected. Now the next step is make sure that you are on the blockchain that you want to provide liquidity on. The chain itself will determine how profitable the pools will be because chains, after all, are what drives volume. In my experience, PancakeSwap's liquidity pools will perform the best on the BNB chain. That being said, you can also provide liquidity on Solana or Base with very good results, even on Ethereum. But if I would have to share with you a top three, it would be BNB, Solana, and Base. BNB would be the clear number one, and then I would say Solana and Base, they are pretty much going toe to toe, although with all three you'll get great results. Okay, so make sure you are on the selected network you want to provide liquidity on. In this example, I will show you on the BNB chain. So the next step is to just click on earn, then there's the farm liquidity tab. Just go in there and it will show you all of the available liquidity pools on PancakeSwap. Now by default, you see that all of the supported networks are selected. This can be a bit confusing for beginners because you'll see some things that are not on the BNB chain. Although right now we can see all of these pools, they do have here BNB chain, but still just go here on all networks and then select the blockchain in which you want to provide liquidity. I click only, and now it will only show results for liquidity pools on the BNB chain. Now next step, let's find some really good yielding liquidity pools. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty, but I'm going to point out very reliable and long-lasting liquidity pools that will provide you passive income non-stop in bear markets or bull markets. Sometimes they will yield more, sometimes they will yield less. It's just a name of the game, but in the long run, these will be very high performers. And that means reliable tokens. That means something like Ethereum paired with USDT, BTCB, which is the Binance's backed version, tokenized version of Bitcoin. If you want to provide liquidity on the BNB smart chain to a Bitcoin liquidity pool, BTCB tokens are the ones that will have likely the highest volume and highest liquidity. Now the APR itself is determined by the volume to TVL ratio. What do I mean by that? Very quickly, you always want to see a volume which is higher than the TVL because the volume shows how much money is flowing through these liquidity pairs. So imagine you are on a highway and you'll have to pay for tolls to use that highway, right? The liquidity pool is the highway, the TVL is how many tolls are there, and the volume are just the number of cars going through the highway and paying to these tolls. The people who deposit in the pool get the fees that the traders are generating in the shape of volume. Okay, so the highest volume to TVL ratio, the highest the APR will be. That's it in a nutshell. Okay, so then you will also see here the fee tier. It's just how much people or traders are going to pay to use the pool. And then V3 is the type of liquidity pool. You cannot go wrong with V3. This is concentrated liquidity. It's more capital efficient. You will have higher rewards with this. V2 is the previous version of liquidity pools, and they will work, yeah, but if you do not have large amounts of capital to deploy, likely these will not be as attractive to you. So if you're starting with a couple $100, go definitely with V3. You'll have good results in any of these pools. You can also find infinity pools, which are essentially V3 pools, but the fee tier here is dynamic, so it will change up over time. So any pool that is an infinity pool, whenever they have tremendous amounts of volume, they will change this fee tier dynamically by increasing it, and whenever there is lower volume, low demand, these infinity pools will adjust the fee tier down and they will earn you less fees. Infinity pools are just automated fee tiers that will dynamically change depending on the volume. This is just technical stuff, but in any case, V3 and Infinity, they will both work in the same way from a user's perspective. Now, another thing you want to pay attention to is this leafy icon. Whenever a pool has this icon, it means there is a farm APR. What that means is that you can see here, it's a combined APR, farm APR, this one is very low, but there's also a LP fee APR. The difference is farm APR is paid to you in cake, LP fee APR is paid to you in the shape of both tokens in the pair. So this is an Ethereum USDT pair. You get paid in LP fees in both Ethereum and USDT, and you also get paid farm APR in cake. If I go up here, you will see current cake price, which is under $2. In my opinion, that's a bargain, but that's a topic for another video. So the takeaway here is, if you want to earn some extra yield, especially in cake, go with pools that have a high farm APR. Now, this is a very quick intro. I'm about to share with you now the main performing liquidity pairs, and then I will show you step by step how to deposit into one. So I have this sorted out by APR. Now, this first pair here, this is a stable coin pair. It's very low risk because both of these tokens here are paired to the US dollar price. They will fluctuate a little bit above or below $1, but something really crazy needs to happen in order for any of these to depeg, okay? You always want to provide liquidity to stablecoin pairs, knowing that they are reliable tokens. This has somewhat high liquidity, very close to $100,000, but as you can see, the volume here is over $27 million. So that's why we're seeing these crazy APRs. Don't get too caught up in this. APRs will change all the time, not only in this pair, but in all of these liquidity pool pairs. So I'm going to give you examples of high performing liquidity pools. All of them will feature major tokens, blue chip assets. So the first one shown here is ETH paired to USDT. It's a good option, I would say, but if you want to yield farm Ethereum liquidity pools, you probably don't want to use the BNB chain, because although they have a decent APR, you'll have better results on Ethereum or Ethereum layer 2s. Instead, you want to look at liquidity pairs that have wrapped BNB, a stablecoin, or BTCB. So this would be a really good choice, BTCB paired with wrapped BNB or USDT paired with wrapped BNB. This tends to be a really good one over time because BNB is the native token of the chain. So this liquidity pool would be a top 3 definitely in my opinion, because it's really high performing. Why is that? Well, just think about it. People do need BNB to pay for gas fees on the BNB chain, and let's say they are going to deposit fiat into crypto, likely they will trade USDT for wrapped BNB on the BNB chain, and also when they are cashing out, they will swap BNB for USDT. The APR, it's not crazy right now, it's 15%. You can earn some cake on the side as well. Usually this liquidity pair will have some farming incentives in the shape of cake, so it's a good option. Instead, you can also select another stablecoin for this example, like we see here, USDC paired with wrapped BNB. The APR is lower because USDC is less used on the BNB chain. You can see most of the other pairs showing here are using USDT, but still, if you rather to hold USDC, go ahead and use this pool. In any case, I'm going to select a USDT wrapped BNB pair, and notice there's a couple of pools here. There's this one with the fee tier 0.01%, and there's this one with the fee tier 0.05%. Right now, this one is having a 15% APR, while this one has a lower APR, 11.19%. This can change over time, but right now, since this one is performing the best, I'll deploy liquidity here. What you could do instead is deploy half your liquidity in this one and then half in this one. After a week, a couple of weeks, a month, monitor it, see which one performed the best. You just have to pay attention to deploy liquidity within the same price range in both liquidity pools. Otherwise, the APRs will differ, and APRs depend on the range that you are using, as I will show you. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to use this pool. You see there's a 15.5% APR, but this can be higher if I go with the narrow range, or lower if I go with the wider range. What they're showing here is just an average. So I will now scroll down, click Add Liquidity, and now in this part, I could change the fee tier if I want to select something else. You can see 19% of the users are selecting this fee tier. I'm going to stick with this one because it's a bit higher fee tier. I'll earn more fees in theory, because in practice, if this one has a much higher volume, they can overperform this pool, although they do have a lower fee tier. Regardless, I'm going to stick with that pick, and now I'm going to insert my range. This is the next step. You need to select a range. This has too many zeros for my liking, so I'm going to go here, and you see current price. I click this arrows icon here to swap this price, and now it's showing me how much one BNB costs in dollars. So this will give us a much better reading. Now I will zoom out here just to show you there's a couple of lines, an upper side range and a downside range. Minimum price changes your downside range. You can even move this with your mouse and it will automatically adjust here for both cases, and you can select your ranges like so, or you can insert it manually. So if I want to go here with 800, I just do that and now it adjusts. My overall range would be 8.6 plus 15, which is at around 23% overall. You see the candles in between my price range shows when the price of BNB goes up and when it goes down. And with this chosen range, you see that the estimated APR actually did increase. So the tighter your range is, as I'm about to show you, your APR is just going to increase. You see, it just went up to 40%. This is great, of course, but you are also more exposed to market volatility. If prices move a lot outside of your range, in this case, if the BNB price went down 5%, it would go out of my downside range below my minimum price, meaning that I will stop earning fees and all of my liquidity here will then be converted to BNB. Don't worry, your liquidity is still there, you can withdraw it, but if you leave it there, once the price goes back into your range, you'll start earning fees once again. It's automatic, you don't have to worry about a thing. That's just the only con. Too tight ranges leaves you more exposed to market volatility. It goes out of range, you stop generating fees, and of course you do want some passive income, so don't be greedy. Go with something like 10%, something like this. Of course the APR here is 30%, and if I would increase my range to 20%, it would even diminish, so it's half of that, 16% right now. But in the long run, the wider your range is, the better. So go with what works for you. Another thing you could do in order to backtest, now I'm already looking to a 1 month chart, so that means I could come here, lower my upside to match pretty much the behavior or the price of BNB for the past month, and I could do the same here with my downside range. Now overall I'm with about 16%, 17% range, and my APR will be at 40%. So this is backtesting. We're just using past performance to try to predict a future outcome. But of course, as you know, in crypto, we can see a bullish green candle tomorrow or even a red candle, but that's part of the game of being a liquidity provider. So I'm gonna go ahead, deploy some liquidity here. I have $8 here worth of USDC. Now pay attention to this. My ranges are not matched. I have 10% on the upside, 6% on the downside. So my deposit will not be 50-50. What do I mean by that? If I put $5 here in USDT, I have to deploy also $7.6 worth of BNB, which is not 50-50. That is because of the ratio of my range. So I have a bigger range on the upside, so I do need to deposit more dollars in the shape of BNB. But if I go here with, let's go with the 10% range, this is 50-50. Notice that right now we're pretty much evened out. We are deploying $5 of USDT and 4.5 of wrapped BNB. So let's say I'm pretty happy with this range. Notice that they're showing here the try zap feature. This is very handy. I'm about to show you why. So click that and you will see that you can deposit liquidity into this pool using any token actually. You don't need to have both tokens in the pair as you would regularly need in a pool that does not have this zapping feature. So right now I can come here, I can remove wrapped BNB and I can deploy just USDT, or I could add another token. So I would click here and I would select some other token from my wallet. I could even come here, select Cake, and PancakeSwap would do the necessary swaps on the back end, and I would just need to select how much Cake I want to deposit, how much USDT I want to deposit, and that's pretty much it. Now I just need to go click on preview. This just gives us a summary of what is about to become our liquidity position. I'm going to click Add Liquidity. If you never did this before, you will need to approve a couple extra transactions just to grant permission to PancakeSwap access the funds in your wallet. So I'm going to click sign, confirm, okay, transaction submitted. Now if I go here under my positions, I can find this recently deployed liquidity pool. This is all the liquidity that I deposited, the current APR. This will change over time, don't worry too much about it. At any point in time, I can come here and click collect. Right now the pool is very short-lived. It's not working for even a minute. I virtually have nothing earned here, but these will just accumulate over time and you can come and collect whenever you want. Also do note this info icon here. BNB USDT has an active PancakeSwap farm. Stake your position in the farm to start earning with the indicated APR in cake farming. So I just need to go back to my positions and you will see once you find your liquidity pool, there's the stake button. Once you click it, it will stake your liquidity pool tokens into the farm, and these will also allow you to earn cake automatically. The transaction only costs a couple of cents, if that. And now here it is, your funds have been staked in the farm, transaction submitted. Whenever I want, I can come here, harvest or unstake. Like I said, this liquidity pool is very short-lived and the APR is not all that high, so I'll need to wait a couple of days to see some results here. But you can see as an example, this other liquidity pool that I have deployed here already has some cake earnings that I can come here, click harvest, accept the transaction and harvest cake to my wallet. Okay, now if I want to remove this liquidity, I'm also free to do that whenever I want. I just need to select the pool, click the remove button here. I can remove just a portion of my liquidity or everything. I'm going to show you that I will close the position by withdrawing everything. And whenever you withdraw liquidity, notice that you'll remove not only your pooled assets in the shape of USDT and BNB, but also your earnings. So below we can see here that I'm also about to withdraw my earned fees in USDT and BNB. They also show us that this liquidity position is currently staking in the farm, so adding or removing liquidity will also harvest any unclaimed cake. Just like what happens with the fees, everything that you earned so far with this liquidity pool position will be automatically sent to your wallet. So I'm gonna go ahead, click remove, confirm this, approve the transaction in my wallet. Notice that they will show all of the tokens that I'm going to receive, and I have already a very small amount of cake that I will still receive, even though that the liquidity pool has been operating for not even a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead, click confirm, and this will take all the liquidity to my wallet. Transactions receipt shown here on the Binance Smart Chain scanner if you want to see. And that's about it, guys. This is my full-on guide to help you deposit into a PancakeSwap liquidity pool and also stake those liquidity pool tokens in cake farms for completely passive income. If you want to know more about how to use PancakeSwap or how to choose some of the best liquidity pools on PancakeSwap, watch these videos on screen next. They will guide you through the whole process, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Maybe share this with someone who's also interested in the topic. That being said, guys, thank you for watching. Take care, keep exploring crypto, and I'll see you on the next one.